400,000 years ago, the Earth was locked in the grip of shifting climates. Across sweeping grasslands and dense forests, Homo erectus carved out their existence. They were skilled hunters and tireless gatherers, moving in small bands, always on the edge of survival. Their long legs carried them for miles in search of food and shelter, their sharp eyes scanning for danger in a world still ruled by predators. Yet it was their ingenuity that set them apart. With rough stone hand axes, they shaped tools from rock, turning raw nature into instruments of survival. More importantly, they tamed fire. Around crackling flames, they found safety in the night, warmth against the cold, and a spark of community that would echo through time. Homo erectus were not just survivors, they were trailblazers, laying down the foundations of what it would mean to be human from their small band. Two Homo erectus venture out into the open plains. Hunting was never without risk, but survival demanded courage. One of them edges carefully toward a giant ostrich nest, eyes fixed on the oversized eggs nestled in the sand. To early humans, such eggs were treasures rich in nutrients, vital for the clan's survival. The second hunter is distracted, drawn to the stirring earth of a towering termite mound. Termites meant food too, and their protein-rich bodies could sustain life in lean times. But the raid does not go unnoticed. The mother ostrich, fierce and territorial, charges with a speed and power unmatched on the plains. For a moment, it seems the hunters are doomed. The bird's long legs kick with lethal force, its wings spread wide in fury, but instinct and preparation take over. Weeks earlier, the group had dug a concealed pit along a game trail. As the enraged ostrich gives chase, its pounding steps carry it forward until suddenly, the ground collapses beneath it. Trapped in the pit, the great bird thrashes and cries out. The hunter from the nest rushes to his companion. With stone axes and wooden spears, the two men strike together, finally bringing down the great ostrich. Its long legs, once deadly, now lie still. The prize is heavy, but they lift it onto their shoulders and carry it back to the waiting clan. Excitement spreads as the hunters arrive. Tonight, there will be meat enough for all. Around the fire, the bird is skinned and carved, its flesh roasting slowly over the flames. The scent of victory drifts into the night air. Dark clouds gather, and the sky opens. Sheets of rain sweep across the plain, drowning the fire in an instant. Shouting, laughing, and clutching what they can, the clan scrambles into their makeshift shelters of branches and hides. Huddled together against the storm, they taste the thrill of survival meat in their bellies. Morning breaks, and the clan of Homo erectus moves across the wide savanna, the rising sun casting long shadows on the grass. Suddenly, dark clouds sweep in, and a violent storm erupts. Thunder rolls across the plains, lightning splits the sky, and fear grips the group. They huddle together, instinctively seeking safety in numbers. But chaos strikes. One woman breaks away, panicked, running across the open field. In a blinding flash, a bolt of lightning crashes down. She collapses instantly, a stark reminder of the raw and merciless power of nature. In the aftermath of the strike, one man rushes to the fallen woman. He drops to his knees, cradling her lifeless body, his cries rising above the rumble of the storm. The clan gathers, urging him to leave, to seek safety farther on. But grief roots him to the spot he will not abandon her, and so the group yields. Rough shelters are raised from branches and hides, a temporary camp built in the shadow of tragedy. Together, they wait in silence. After long hours of waiting, the grieving man gathers branches and gently covers the body of the fallen woman. Was this the first spark of ritual, the earliest seed of burial, born from love, loss, and the will to remember? Driven by hunger, Homo erectus follows the faint tracks of their prey across the open plain. Spears in hand, they run with relentless determination, every step bringing them closer to the promise of food. The chase leads them to the edge of a towering cliff, where the land falls sharply away into empty air. Breathless and unaware, they press forward. But here, at this precipice, survival takes a cruel turn. What began as a hunt will become a farewell, for two members of the clan will not return. As the clan departs, believing their companions lost, the two fallen hunters cling to life at the base of the cliff. Broken and weak, they struggle to move. Overhead, dark wings circle vultures, sensing the wounded. The birds descend, testing the helpless men with sharp beaks and beating wings. A grim reminder that in this world, survival was never guaranteed. Wounded but alive, the two hunters lean on each other, step by painful step, across the rocky ground. At last, they find the dark mouth of a cave, a shelter from the open plain. Inside, they gather dry branches, striking sparks until fire glows against the stone walls. For the first time since their fall, warmth and rest seem within reach. But danger lurks unseen. This cavern is not empty, it belongs to a pack of wolves. As the flames crackle and shadows dance across the stone, the men cannot know that new eyes are watching from the depths, hungry and waiting. In the dead of night, the two Homo erectus are startled awake by piercing howls echoing through the cave. Their wounds ache, their senses sharpen, danger is near. From the shadows, the wolves surge forward, eyes glowing, teeth bared. For a breathless moment, it seems death has come, but the pack is not after them. Hidden deeper in the cavern lies an old kill, the wolf's true prize. With snarls and snapping jaws, they drag the carcass away into the dark. The hunters exhale in relief, hearts pounding. Against all odds, they survive another night. Firelight flickering as exhaustion pulls them back into uneasy sleep. Under the relentless African sun, the two Homo erectus press onward across the dry savanna. Heat shimmers on the horizon, every step heavier than the last. At last, one collapses beneath the shade of a lone tree, his body too weak to continue. Gasping for breath, he gestures desperately to his companion. The message is clear: find water, bring it back, or death will come swiftly. Alone, the other sets off into the burning wilderness, the weight of survival now resting on his shoulders. Exhausted and faint, the fallen Homo erectus struggles beneath the tree. For a moment it seems he will not rise, but the bond of survival is stronger than despair. Slowly, with trembling legs, he forces himself upright, driven by the thought of his companion waiting in thirst. Step by step, he pushes forward through the scorching heat. Then, at last, salvation, the glimmer of water. A small stream cuts across the dry earth, its surface sparkling in the sun. He stumbles to his knees, plunges his hands into the cool flow, and drinks deeply. Strength returns, if only for a moment. With renewed resolve, he fills a crude container and turns back toward the plains, toward his waiting brother, and the fragile hope of survival. With water shared, strength slowly returns. The two Homo erectus rise again, their bond of empathy carrying them forward where sheer force could not. As the sun sinks, they gather branches and hides, shaping a crude shelter against the coming night. Beneath its rough frame, firelight flickers once more, and together they endure, finding safety, however fragile, in each other's will to survive. But fate is merciless. In the stillness of night, the ground trembles, an enormous rhinoceros charges from the dark. With unstoppable force, it smashes through the crude shelter, sending branches flying. The two Homo erectus, are hurled to the ground, stunned and broken as the beast snorts and thrashes in fury. Then, silence. Only the rasping breath of the wounded men. Yet new danger stirs. From the shadows, wolves advance slowly, eyes gleaming, jaws ready to claim what seems already lost. Step by step, but salvation arrives from the unexpected. Out of the darkness, another band of Homo erectus emerges, armed with fire and stone. Their shouts echo, torches thrust forward, driving the wolves back into the night. The wounded hunters are lifted to safety, carried by their kind. Once again, survival depends not only on strength, but on the power of community, the bond that would shape the future of humankind. Carried from the jaws of death, the two injured hunters are brought to the safety of a larger cave. There, the group settles in, tending to their wounds, while outside a new fire is lit. As night fades into day, the air fills with the rich scent of roasting meat, a symbol of survival and strength. Drawn by the aroma, the two men slowly stir from their rest. Weak but alive, they rise and step out into the sunlight. Around the fire, the larger band gathers, eating, laughing, and sharing the spoils of the hunt. With hesitant gestures, the wounded hunters approach, their eyes meeting the groups in silent request. Around 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus emerged in East Africa. Migration to Asia, around 1.8 million years ago. In ancient China, nearly 400,000 years ago, a band of Homo erectus prepared for the hunt. The forests and grasslands were rich with game, but large animals were dangerous and far too powerful to bring down in a direct chase. So, these early humans turned to strategy. Working together, they began to dig deep pits along game trails, shaping the earth with sharp wooden stakes and stone tools. Hours of labor carved hidden traps into the ground, covered with branches and leaves. It was patience and cooperation qualities that set them apart from the predators around them. When the work was done, the group withdrew. Before long, the trap proves its worth. A wild boar, fierce and powerful, crashes through the branches and tumbles into the pit. The animal thrashes, squealing in fury, but escape is impossible. From the trees, the hunters emerge, their shouts rising as they throw spears and bind the beast with ropes of twisted fiber. Together, they drag the heavy prize back to their cave. There, stone tools flash as the carcass is cut apart with practiced skill. The fire crackles, fat sizzling on the flames, and the rich scent of roasting meat fills the air. For Homo erectus, this is more than a meal. It is survival, a reward born from planning, patience, and the strength of community. But survival always came with a price. As the hunters feasted, they did not realize that danger was already closing in. From the shadows of the trees, eyes watched the eyes of another band of Homo erectus. Hunger burned in their faces as they studied the fire, the meat, the promise of survival that was not theirs. One of them breaks away, sprinting across the savannah to warn the rest of his group. What began as a triumph of the hunt is about to ignite something darker. Soon it will not be beasts or storms that threaten these early humans, but conflict among their own kind. For the first time, food will become the spark of war. At dawn, the rival band approaches the cave. Tension crackles in the air as the two groups face one another, firelight glinting off stone tools and wooden spears. Shouts erupt harsh, guttural cries that pierce the silence. Men brandish weapons, stamping the ground to show strength, while women and children shrink back into the shadows. The smell of roasted meat lingers between them, the prize that sparked this dangerous meeting. For the first time, survival is not threatened by nature, but by their own kind. In this standoff, the seeds of conflict are sown echoes of the violence that would follow humanity through the ages. When the clash finally ends, silence returns to the cave, exhausted, bruised, and bloodied. the survivors gather near the fading fire. For some, the victory is hollow meat won, but at the cost of fear and pain. Slowly, one by one, they collapse into uneasy sleep, the echoes of violence still heavy in the air. With the coming dawn, the band rises again. Weary but determined, they leave the cave behind and set out once more across the vast wilderness. For Homo erectus, survival means movement. No matter the battles fought, the journey must continue. In the heat of the afternoon, strategy guides the hunt. One Homo erectus climbs high into the branches of a tree, scanning the plains below. His sharp eyes fix on a herd of antelope grazing in the distance. With quiet gestures, he signals to the others. The plan is simple: surround and strike. Moving low and steady, the hunters spread across the tall grass. Step by step, the circle closes in, their stone axes and wooden spears ready. The antelope stir nervously, sensing danger. Then, in a burst of sound and motion, the hunters charge. Chaos explodes across the savanna, dust rising, hooves pounding, shouts echoing. At last, one antelope stumbles, trapped by the hunters' combined force. Spears find their mark, and the struggle is over. With effort, the carcass is lifted and carried back into the cover of the forest. There, a fire is kindled once more, sparks leaping into the evening sky. As the flames grow, the rich scent of roasting meat drifts through the trees. For Homo erectus, it is not only the triumph of the hunt, it is the promise of survival, born from patience, cooperation, and the will to endure. But the forest holds dangers of its own. Drawn by the scent of blood, a lion prowls from the shadows, muscles rippling with power. With a thunderous roar, it claims the kill, dragging the antelope away as if the hunter's efforts meant nothing. Panic erupts. The Homo erectus scramble up into the trees, clinging to branches as the predator feasts below. Only when the lion slinks back into the darkness do they dare descend. Hungry, empty-handed, they stand in silence, frustrated and defeated, reminded that in this world, even the victors of the hunt were never truly safe.
We wait.
Morning breaks, with a golden light stretching across the land. Thirst drives the weary Homo erectus toward a shimmering river. They kneel at its edge, cupping cool water into their hands, relief washing over their dry throats. But as they drink, their eyes catch sudden movement, shadows darting beneath the surface. Fish glimmering in the sun, a source of food they had not yet claimed. Excitement ripples through the group. For the first time, the hunt will not be on the plains, but in the water. With shouts and splashes, they leap into the shallows, arms thrashing, feet stomping. The water erupts with motion as fish scatter in every direction. Slowly, skill replaces chaos, hands close tight. Stone-tipped spears dart, and one by one, the hunters lift their slippery prizes high into the air. Across the savannah, a pack of hyenas fixes their gaze on a herd of wildebeest. Eyes glint in the sunlight, jaws parted with anticipation. Slowly, they fan out, circling the edges of the herd. The wildebeest sense unease, hooves shifting, tails twitching. Then the attack begins. Shrill calls pierce the air as the hyenas surge forward. Dust rises, bodies collide, and the desperate chase for survival erupts across the plain. Suddenly, A band of Homo erectus appears, shouting and brandishing spears. Startled, the hyenas scatter into the grass, their hunt abandoned. For the humans, this is the moment, the chance to claim the field and set their own plan into motion. At the edge of the herd, the leader raises his hand. The hunters freeze, every muscle tense, every eye fixed on the prey. Then, with a sharp gesture, the signal is given. A roar of voices erupts as spears fly through the air, their stone tips whistling before striking home. One wildebeest stumbles, pierced and bleeding, its frantic cries tearing through the savannah. But the hunt is far from over. The Homo erectus do not rush. Instead, they advance slowly, step by steady step, following the crimson trail across the grass. Patience guides them, for they know a wounded beast will soon falter. At last, the wildebeest collapses, strength drained, its massive body surrendering to the earth. The hunters close in, finishing the kill with swift, practiced strikes. Cheers rise as the prize is claimed. For the band, this is not just food, it is victory, proof of strategy and unity. On the African plains, cooperation has become their greatest weapon. With the hunt behind them, the band of Homo erectus presses onward. They climb rugged hills, wade through shallow streams, and emerge onto a vast, untouched savanna. Here the grass grows tall and green, herds of antelope graze, and towering mammoths move slowly across the horizon. Sensing opportunity, the clan begins to build. Branches are cut, hides stretched, stones stacked, simple shelters rising from the earth. For the first time in many days, there is a sense of safety, a place they can call their own, shared with the giants of the Ice Age world. But peace on the savannah does not last. One night, the ground shakes as a mammoth storms through, its massive tusks tearing apart the crude shelters. The clan scatters in fear, their refuge destroyed. Anger replaces terror. At dawn, the leader gathers them together, his voice firm, his gestures commanding. He teaches them how to stand, how to strike, how to turn fear into strength. Soon, the band prepares for a bold new challenge, the hunt of giants. Across the open plain, the hunters finally find their quarry. A massive mammoth grazes in the tall grass, its tusks gleaming in the sun, its shadow stretching across the earth. For Homo erectus, this is both opportunity and terror. With shouts and pounding feet, the band spreads wide, circling the giant. Spears rise into the air. The leader signals, then the attack begins. Screams and roars blend together as stone-tipped spears strike flesh. The mammoth bellows in fury, swinging its tusks, tearing the ground apart as it charges. Hunters dive aside, regrouping, then strike again. Again and again, they pierce its hide, blood staining the grass. The earth shakes beneath the beast's final struggle, until at last, with a thunderous crash, the mammoth collapses. Silence follows. Then, cries of triumph erupt. The band swarms over the fallen giant, stone tools flashing as thick skin is cut. heavy flesh divided. Fires are built, the meat placed above crackling flames. Soon, the scent of roasted mammoth fills the air, drifting far across the savannah. For these early humans, this is more than survival. It is proof of courage, cooperation, and ingenuity, the triumph of a small band of hunters against one of nature's most formidable giants. Around the fire that night, they feast not only on meat, but on victory itself. But survival always demanded a price. No triumph lasted long, for the wild never rested. As the clans celebrated their victory, new predators emerged from the shadows, ancient wild dogs, fierce and relentless hunters of the plains. Their snarls pierced the night, eyes glowing in the firelight. The Homo erectus had no choice but to fight once more. Spears clashed against snapping jaws, stones flew through the air, and cries of defiance rang out. It was chaos, raw and brutal, a struggle where hesitation meant death. In the end, the firelight drove the pack back into the dark, but the message was clear. In this world, every day was a battle. For Homo erectus, existence itself was war against beasts, against nature, and sometimes even against one another. During the Ice Age, survival meant constant movement. Vast sheets of ice covered the land, and cold winds cut through every step. Homo erectus followed the great herds, mammoths, bison, and reindeer drifting across the frozen plains. Where the animals went, food and life could be found. Wrapped in furs, spears in hand, these early humans pressed forward, shadows among giants, enduring the cold through unity and relentless pursuit. Morning breaks cold and unforgiving. From the mouth of a cave, a small band of Homo erectus steps into the frozen world beyond. The Ice Age presses hard against them, snow crunches underfoot, their breath drifts in pale clouds, and icy winds cut through even the thickest hides wrapped around their bodies. Yet hunger drives them forward. They scan the white expanse with sharp eyes until, at last, they discover what they seek: hoof prints pressed into the snow. Wild horses. For Homo erectus, this is the difference between life and death. With quiet urgency, they follow the trail, spears gripped tightly, hearts pounding beneath the chill. Soon the herd is found, restless among the drifts. The hunters spread out, encircling their prey. Then, with shouts that shatter the still air, they charge. Spears flash through the blizzard light, striking true. The horses bolt, but one stumbles, wounded and slowed. The chase is relentless, a contest of endurance across the frozen plain. Step by step, the hunters close in. At last, the animal collapses, its strength drained, its life claimed by human persistence. The band cheers, their victory echoing into the icy wind. Together they haul the heavy carcass back across the snow, returning to the dark warmth of their cave. Inside, fire crackles to life, shadows dancing on the stone walls. Stone tools cut through hide and flesh, thick slabs of meat laid across the flames. The scent of roasting horse fills the cavern, a promise of survival against the cold. For these early humans, every hunt was more than food. It was a battle with the Ice Age itself. And on this night, around the glow of firelight, they have won. But nature's power was unrelenting. Without warning, a roar echoed from the mountain above. An avalanche thundered down, burying the cave in a torrent of snow and ice. Trapped inside, The firelight flickered once, then vanished. The hunters, their victory still warm on the stones, would never emerge again. Entombed by the Ice Age, they remained silent witnesses to the unforgiving struggle of early humankind.